like a chicken with my head cut off. I run this group, and I also run Paradise Dive Club, and it can be hard to get people to help run these things. So anyway, today I was scrambling, trying to find a location for next month's meetup. It's going to be at our co-organizer's employer, Invoca. So thank you, Invoca, for next month's gig. And I actually, right before this event, got a speaker to commit. So my colleague, Evan Sellen, where is he? Where's Evan? There he is going to speak next month at Invoca. Topic TBD, but thank you, Evan. I really appreciate it. That's about it, aside from the fact that I don't have any other speakers lined up. So if you want to speak about something JavaScript related, anything JavaScript related is fair game. Please get in touch with me or my co-organizer, Garvin. Garvin, stand up, say hello to everybody. Garvin Kusky, who's my amazing co-organizer. Or hit us up on meetup.com. And if I can extrapolate on that, what I'm really looking for is a speaker chair, somebody to help us out, curating, finding, getting in touch with, and committing speakers to speak at Santa Barbara JavaScript. So if anyone's interested in that, someone who's outgoing, likes networking with people in the industry, please let us know. We want your help. And that's all I've got from a housekeeping perspective. So now I'm going to turn it over for the main event, which is a former colleague of mine, Mr. Brendan Connolly, talking about building a cryptocurrency bot in Node.
We're just trying to get the Hangouts shared. I do not have the email.
That means we need filler.
I don't want to give away the good stuff to the people without
technical difficulties. So how many people are familiar with cryptocurrency? Let's start there. All right, cool.
Uh-oh.
So like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that good stuff. And how many people are familiar with the technology it's built on, blockchain technology? Cool. You guys are experts. Excellent.
Anybody using it at their work? Like actual production? What are you using it for?
My company has a cryptocurrency token called the basic attention token.
Oh, with Brendan Ike.
Yep, that's my company.
Wow.
Very cool.
I'm a little intimidated. Maybe we should change places and we can hear about Braves.
Hey, so can you get Brendan Ike to come and talk at our next event? Sorry, Evan. So you guys all signed the photo release, right? Everybody signed the photo release? I get to use your image in perpetuity? No, I'm just kidding. Seriously though, everybody smile for the camera. Wait, I'm going to get that side of the room mostly because those seats are all filled up and it will look better on social media. All right, everybody smile. Awesome, cool.
Do you want me to second the link directly? Something like that?
Technical difficulties. Are you going to live code tonight, Brendan?
I'm not that brave.
Oh man, that's the ultimate in technical difficulties. How many people have ever done a live coding talk? Is that the most nerve-wracking thing in the world or what? We had a guy, I don't know if anyone was at our, we had a guy earlier this year or late last year, I don't remember, from Couchbase, Nick Raboy. Was anyone at that? That was the last time we were at PayJunction. Was that guy awesome or what? Like seriously, I've never seen anyone that cool as a cucumber doing a live coding demo. It was amazing. Like seriously, that guy's my hero. I think we need to have him back. He actually, he put me in touch with some people at Couchbase. So I should probably like hit them up to get speakers as well. I just have too many hands on my time. How are we doing?
We are close.
Awesome.
Garvin, can you help me out?
Who's going to build a new cryptocurrency on top of blockchain?
Sorry.
Oh, I had some hands shoot up in the back.
I joined.
That would be brave.
Sorry. Not paying attention. Oh, I helped you join.
There we go.
Screen?
All right, we're getting close.
Just entire screen?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. There is a guest Wi-Fi. The guest Wi-Fi is like Procore for guest, I believe. And the password, not to be repeated outside this room, is very cryptographically secure. It is welcome4, all one word, lowercase. You bet.
Awesome. And we're good?
All right. And as I said, on to the main event.
I need to switch.
Almost. I'll start.
Turn off the camera. Is that good?
All right, we're in business. Okay, so as I said, on to the main event, tonight's speaker, Mr. Brendan Colony.
Thanks, sir. Well, I kind of hoped crypto would be new to everybody. That was kind of my big segue here. But now we have experts. We can all learn together. So what's crypto? So we have some slides, and it's going to be a lot of review for everybody, I guess. So what's crypto? Crypto is beyond the cryptocurrency space. It's exactly what you would think if you were going to get all of your market information from Reddit and 4chan. Right? So that's about the state of things. Buy the rumor, sell the news, that kind of stuff, right? So we're going to go through some of the meme-based rules for crypto. And what I've learned through my brief tenure with cryptocurrencies is you will learn these rules the hard way every time.
I'm sorry to do this again, but for some reason it's not sharing your screen. Wouldn't mind
Nope.
giving it one more shot.
Yeah. Did I kill it with the... That
Okay,
better?
there we go. Thank you.
Still got it?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, guys. Folks.
Nope, we got it.
So you do your own research because all of your coins will have problems at some point. Massive dips, 20% average, like it's not like your regular markets. So you do your own research because you have to be comfortable holding these things through the roller coaster that is crypto. Never buy more than you can afford to lose, because if you've seen crypto from last year to this year, you probably lost a whole lot. It went from close to pushing 25,000 for Bitcoin down to 6. That's a pretty rough road for everybody that's excited and bought in near the end of the year. So if you're not buying anything but beer money with it, be careful. HODL. So the crypto space is just full of memes, right? So it looks like just a typo for hold, which is a common investing strategy. But what it is hold on for dear life, right? It's the same thing. Like it is not like investing anything normally. You're looking for, with regular investments, you're looking for 5%, 10% gains over time. Crypto is going to swing. Like you can get 80% a day. These things go to the moon. So if you're not holding on tight, it's easy to lose your place and get scared. And if you're actually watching Reddit and 4chan, you're watching people just lose their mind. The other thing about it is you'll see there's a wide slice of life that uses crypto, right? So a lot of us is college kids that are investing with their $50, $20. And if you're in this as a more serious investor, right, you've got hundreds, thousands, even more maybe. It's a huge disparity when you start watching the headlines through Reddit. So it's a little bit exciting. So in reality, you're kind of battening down the hatches with the HODL. FOMO. This is what happened all the way up to December as it rose from 6 grand to 20 grand. And everybody was a genius that got it anytime in 2017 before the last quarter. So fear of missing out. So you'll chase these buys. You'll see something starting to jump. You'll see it go 20%, 30%. I got to get in on this. And there's a good chance if you're buying in, somebody else is buying in, and the people that were in early are selling out. That's when you get left holding bags. That's something you probably didn't want to buy in the first place. This is what fear feels like. FUD. Now FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. That's where we are Q1 this year, right? It's the worst set of news you could possibly have in the crypto space, one after the other, right? Hacks, advertising is getting banned on Twitter and Facebook. These things, crypto's gains and losses are pretty much driven by headlines. At least right now, it's such a young space. So these kind of things. So if there's good news, right? Your coins are going well. They're going to grow. If there's FUD, you're not doing so well. Pardon the language, but this is any coin that you don't have that's doing well. The shit coin. The other side of it is, a friend of mine shared a quote with me. It doesn't mean I won't ride their shit rocket to their shit moon. So that's the kind of space we work in. So that kind of got us to the moon, right? This is everybody's dream. We want to be like Elon Musk, shooting off Lambos or Teslas with our money, right? We want to retire tomorrow, on our way. crypto genius. So everything is to the moon. In fact, there's a meme coin. I'm not sure this is exact. I've heard it called a Dogecoin. And if they hit a certain point, they are literally sending their crypto to the moon. I don't know the details of how this this digital currency will actually make it to the moon, but I do believe they'll do it. So in crypto, we've got exchanges. And this is where you take your hard-earned money and you turn it into pretend money or real money for things, right? I say that with a little bit of jest. I actually believe in crypto. I think it's a very positive thing for a lot of countries and for kind of decentralizing their bank hold on money. But that said, the exchanges run across the world. And it's kind of like NASDAQ being duplicated across the globe, where it's all the same exchange or all the same market, but across the world. So you have different prices for different coin. For the same coin can have different prices across the world. So there's this whole thing called arbitrage where you can exchange, where the price of your coin, you might be able to move it to another exchange and actually have it be worth more for the same currency. In the US, Coinbase and GDAX is probably our largest. It's probably one of the bigger market drivers. A lot of other ones are based in the foreign countries. Binance is a really popular one. I like it. I believe it's in China, which you would think is great because crypto, right? We don't want the US government peering into our exchange money. But it doesn't mean the long arm of the feds doesn't reach out that way. They're already starting to kind of crawl in. Coinbase has already been compelled to share accounts over $20,000. So if you had a little bit of Bitcoin in 2017, there's a good chance you got a notice in the mail that the feds know you have money. They're coming for it. So why did I build this? I am by no means a JavaScript expert, but I think a lot of people know here it takes a good project to kind of get your hands dirty and learn. It's one of the major reasons. I also knew from my limited stock trading that dollar cost averaging is probably the best way I can do this. But there's not a lot of tools in crypto to kind of do a stable buy, right? Or if what they are, they're expensive. So Coinbase is a friendly face to exchanges, right? It's very easy to link up your bank account, exchange it for Bitcoin. The problem is their prices don't match the market. So you see here, the top infographic there is from a place called CoinMarketCap, which is where everybody kind of goes and sees where the prices of across the markets are. Well, that's the Coinbase price there, and it's a little bit different. So it's about $4 or almost 0.5%. Doesn't sound like much, but if you're going to try to dollar cost average in, it feels like everywhere you're turning, there's fees. You see this across each of the major currencies. And now you can also see Coinbase doesn't only carry that's professional. Coinbase only covers certain coins. So it's a big deal for them to carry the coin. So it's very popular, but you have limited options. So these are the major three. They've added Bitcoin Cash, which is a fork of Bitcoin. But you can see across the board, they're all about the same, almost anywhere from 0.5% to a 0.1% difference. And then you got your fees. You can see that there, it's $1.99. And that price, it's roughly the same no matter what amount of currency you're buying. So what 40% on transactions, plus depending on your payments. If you're paying with a credit card, it's more. So if you're trying to schedule a payment, you want to spend like $20 a month or $20 a week, whatever you're comfortable with, just over time, chugging away, not worrying about the price. Well, that $20 is going to lose $2, and then it's going to lose a fraction of that to everywhere else. The secret behind it is there's a company with Coinbase has a shared space, and you guys probably know this, you already know crypto, but GDAX is the more exchange, or excuse me, stock-looking exchange side of the exchange. So your Coinbase account matches up directly to GDAX. The thing on GDAX is if you place a limit order as opposed to a market order, you pay no fees, or they're extremely small, so you don't really see it. So that $1.99 goes away, and all you have to do is specify a price and a quantity. So what do we want it to do? I want to deposit funds. I want to check my balance, set a price, buy crypto, and repeat. What about selling? If you're in crypto and you're not scared of taxes, you should be. Feds are looking, right? That's a big deal. Crypto is treated as a capital asset. So it's like every time you are trading you're not actually using a currency. So if you were to buy, it's the equivalent of selling your stock and then purchasing. So you pay the gains on that write-up event. So you have a taxable event for every single transaction. That matters between exchanges, and it matters between cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency. So it's a lot of overhead, and the tooling's not there to kind of help it make you easy. You don't get a tax form like you do from Charles Schwab at the end of the year, right? So they're expecting you to do this, and it's not an easy one. You have to record all your transactions. The other thing is, I think if you're in the space now, you know it's a little bit young. It's been around for a while, but we're still got a lot of growth. A lot of people sold Bitcoin when it got to $1,000. Somebody bought pizza, right? That pizza is worth ridiculous amounts of money now. Right? How mad would you be, right? If it made it to 50 grand in 2 years and you sold out today for 6? You gotta be long to avoid taxes and get big profits. The other cool thing about crypto is the info, like the graphics are just awesome because a bunch of people just have time. So I thought I'd look fancy. So let's build the bot. So the nice thing with using GDAX is it has a supported live. Everything is API first, and a lot of these things, since they're tech forward companies, most of the exchanges have APIs that their websites drive or utilize to drive their behaviors. So GDAX, the exchange, actually has a node GDAX, or got the name wrong, but a GDAX node. So they've already wrapped their API. The other side of this is it's a little terrifying to get up here and start talking about crypto because it's really easy to expose yourself. There's a lot of hackers. And it sounds silly, but there was someone actually decrypted. It's probably the wrong word, but someone blurred out their account information, like their passphrase. And there's enough money and people interested that someone actually reverse engineered the blur and retrieved their sensitive information and cleared them out. So it's kind of like, I'm not, I wouldn't be here if I had enough money to have retired on crypto already, but still scary. So what we're going to do is take the GDAX client that Coinbase maintains, although it's still got some gaps. Not all of their APIs are actually fully fleshed out inside the node library. They're going to wrap those in command objects. The nice thing about the GDAX client is that most of the API calls are wrapped in promises, so you don't have to go through all the callback problems. Although when you start chaining promises together, it can kind of get you to the same place where you have a kind of a deep V of sideways V of thens, right? And I didn't think that was the nicest way to imagine it. So we're going to encapsulate the actions and then make it easy to schedule those. For the execution, we'll use node schedule to kind of just, so we can wire up node, pass it off and do it on our terms, and then we'll hold and profit. So let's take a look. I'm going to try sharing the screens here. So this is, everybody see that again? Is it too small?
Yeah.
Looks small to me too. Let's get rid of this. I'll be able to see that. So actually, we'll go to the commands first. Yes?
You wouldn't have to have this on like GitHub or anything?
I do. I have it on the last slide, but if you go to, I would give you my name, but as Garvin found out, it's a nightmare to spell, just because it's plenty of vowels. But it's called Hodler, so if you search there, it's there. I'll be happy to share it. Sorry, still going to zoom in. So we broke these down. I cheated a little bit. The by command probably should be refactored a little bit. Let me get rid of the terminal here. So the GDAX API, there's a public API that requires no credentials. Although behind the scenes, I think they're signing every request. So it's still some security. It's not like an open, you can't just put Wireshark on and see it. At least that's what I'm hoping. They also have, for all of your personal information, you have to create an API key and then use the authenticated client. And both of those are exposed through their node library. So what we have is actually, I'll jump to that first. So what it is, I wired up the different API clients first so that we can inject those into the commands so that we don't have to pass some of the same information to them twice. The other nice thing about GDAX is they have a sandbox. So you can kind of test out your bot or whatever you want to do before without having to actually have your own information in there. Some of their stuff isn't documented perfectly. So you can see our API information. And this is the public API. It doesn't require the same credentials. And I just have a sandbox flag, so I can just flip it as a for when I actually want to go to production. And then my authentic one, I'm logging the URLs just for my own sanity. And then we export those, so we have a nice little module we can pass into our commands. So the most exciting one is buy. But before we want to do that, we want to find out if we have funds. So here we go. And I come from a statically typed background, so it felt good to wrap some of JavaScript inside of a more structured environment. I think that was just my own thing. I don't think I necessarily needed to use the command pattern, but it felt good doing it. Made me feel like I was being fancy. So you can see here, we're returning a promise, so we can do these things in chain, but we're just wrapping the messages here, and we catch any logs. So let's get us our wallet command, our wallet balance. Everybody, I'm assuming, knows what a wallet is, because you're all experts and probably are laughing at me behind my back or right in front of me, just politely. So the other thing we want to do as part of this is deposit. So we want to take funds from our bank account that we've already wired up inside of Coinbase and pass them in, so we can schedule the buy, the actual have funds available to buy. And so here we go. Coinbase exposes it. So it's interesting. The GX API also kind of shells out and goes back into the Coinbase. Since they're go together, the APIs are separate. So there's sometimes inside their API documentation where you have to guess a little bit. There is also a get accounts for this line. So it takes a little bit of playing with it to find out exactly what information you need to pass. The other funny thing I think about crypto is fiat. Every time I think of fiat, when I see this, I think of the little Italian cars. I just kind of laughed to myself, so I did it right now. So I do. I see a little red Italian cars cruising around, wondering why we're calling cash currencies after Italian cars. I actually looked up Wikipedia for it, but that's a different story. Probably been a good slide. So we're going to take the amount. Everything is tied up to, because so GDAX and Coinbase have multiple currencies. So it's not dominated by the US. So you can pass in euros, and I think there's another currency. So let me get rid of the, let me see a little better. So we're going to take our authenticated client, pass it to call the deposit one with the amount, the currency, and our Coinbase account. So one thing I kind of felt sad about this when I was signing up, I thought this project was both attainable for me as a limited JavaScript developer, but also thought there would be more. But it was actually surprisingly easy. And that's kind of a nice thing to actually get to show with Node, is you can kind of wrap this stuff together pretty quickly and be really productive. It was pretty nice in my experience. I don't know if that's everybody's, but so buys. So since we're just trying to dollar cost average, there's an entire strategy you can use. There's actually other bots already on GitHub that have different strategies for buying and selling on the shorter term. Like I said, I didn't really want to go down that route just because I felt kind of nervous that I'd be racking up taxable events that I'm not really comfortable with. But our coin prices, what they do expose is a nice get 24-hour stats. And since we're setting a limit order, we don't want to just take the market price. We can actually pass in a points. What I did is I took a percentage that I want to take below market, because due to the volatility in crypto, you want to set it a little bit lower than the current price, because it's going to fall. And if you're not trying to buy it immediately, there's a good chance you'll catch a better price. So we're not necessarily looking for this to buy immediately. I'm not trying to buy, a miner with Litecoin. So we'll just we just want to rack stuff up, and so we can ride out this kind of rough spot in the pricing. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing a terrible job. If that goes out to the live stream too. This is exciting stuff. I'm killing it. So our schedules. The other side, we can just pull a node schedule for using our so we can buy on demand. And they expose a recurrence rule. I thought that was kind of nice. And then I wrap that inside of a runs on the month command, because I didn't want to pass in that object every month. So we'll get to the actual client here. So inside handler, you can see it's just kind of everything wired together. And then we'll get to the kind of a little bit more exciting turn this took. So here we're just wiring up all the commands together, kind of so we can get we can do it all at once. So we want to give me Bitcoin, give me Ethereum, and give me Litecoin. And we want to be able to schedule our deposit on a separate schedule than our buys. So, whoops. So you can see here we've got our 3 buys. We pick that gets started into a map. sit on there, and then we execute those, and that's cool. But I don't know about anybody else. I don't want to run Node on my my MacBook all the time to keep these things going. So this is where we can take advantage of the free tier in AWS Lambda. And there's a really nice Node package called Node Lambda. I think that's right. And it's really nice because you can, by using the command pattern, we've already got things we can directly inject right into to AWS Lambda, upload it, and start. You can use the CloudWatch events to schedule it, so you don't have to go through my buggy or crappy implementation of scheduling and running locally. I can set it up all there, and I can watch and all my logging. I don't have to worry about. I thought I was going to get fancy and try to like text myself through Node and all that kind of stuff to give myself an alert when things are going down. And that gets a little bit more tricky if you're trying to do it all yourself. But you can plug right into the AWS space and do that. So all we have to do for AWS is, let's see here. What it does is there's 3 commands. Let me pull up the package JSON. Okay. Sorry, I forgot about one thing. So the beautiful thing about AWS Lambda is it only supports Node 6. So if you saw in some of these things, I'm using arrow functions, I'm using async await and promises, and none of those are available in Node 6. And I thought, well, I'm not really interested in putting Babel. I didn't really want to go down the route of having to make a build pipeline for my introductory project into Node. But when I started trying to upload my packages using these things, I couldn't. It was just bailing on me left and right, and I didn't realize at first the differences in Node. So it's actually a really nice educational process. So our first step is we have to transpile. We have to take everything, and we're going to use the ES2017 preset. So let's see, our Babel RC here. We want to ignore the Node modules because I ran into problems, and probably because my own inexperience of trying to transpile every single Node module inside my package, inside my program. So that was both making my MacBook spin up pretty hot and take a lot of time. I'm still not sure why it actually works without it to a certain degree, because I guess I must not be calling code inside the modules that actually have language features that I don't need or aren't available. But that was a nice learning curve. But then what happens is we were able to just kind of tack on a transpile. Where'd that go? All right. And what we do is we're going to dump it all in there, preset it, ignore the Node modules, then we're going to copy Node modules back in, because we can't actually we can't upload, the transpiled folder won't have that Node module, and it won't work inside AWS Lambda. So we'll copy them all back in. So what I would show you my some of this, but it's got my own AWS credentials inside it. But what you can do is Node Lambda gives you a nice init and setup commands, and those will shell out. It'll pre-populate all of the AWS features you need. So like your ARNs and your credentials, and then you can upload it. It'll upload. So this way you don't have to upload your zip directly. You can package it up. It'll zip it for you. Upload it to AWS. The tricky part is I didn't want to go through and make 2 separate projects for one. Well, I have 2 commands that I want to run. I want to deposit and I want to buy. I don't want to make this whole I don't want to create 2 clone kind of repositories just for the buy and just for that. So I had to create separate handlers. So I have a deposit handler here so every single Lambda function for Node takes these are the required. It's the required signature, and then we just kind of shell it to our command. But you have to give the name of the function that you want AWS to call. So what we had to do is go in here and we specify the, sorry, got a small screen. We specify the name inside of the, on the command line for these tasks. So then we have to separately deploy. We'll deploy one, deploy the deposit, and then we can run them from there. And I'll open it for questions. I think I raced through it kind of fast, but it's not the most complicated code. I kind of hoped my memes would endear you to me. So, yes. Yeah, I can. I think I have it still up. I may get prompted for. And this was actually my first time using. It sounds silly, but using AWS. So that whole setup is a nice. It's remarkably complicated in terms of just getting started. It's a little overwhelming, like with the ARNs and things like that. I actually had a big problem because I chose the west location for their data center, and that's the default is the east. If you try to upload with a different data center, even if you don't get an error through Node Lambda, it just doesn't go anywhere. So it looked like it succeeded, and then I was just scrambling through. But let me get to services and Lambda. But it's amazing what you can get with the free tier. I can probably run this all the time. In terms of months. Now you guys are seeing my secrets. But it's all the same box. So what you end up with is when you do execute it, it goes to CloudWatch. Throughout the commands, there's console logs. And the nice thing about Lambda is it just routes the console logging to CloudWatch. So I don't have a fancy UI for it, but I can definitely go in and see. Oops. See my failed attempts as well. So you can see us here getting the price. Oops, I clicked the wrong one. That's the 24-hour stats, and then for each one. And the interesting thing, if anyone is bold enough to try it and do a better job than me, the GDAX sandbox has some interesting properties from time to time. Somehow the Ethereum price now is at $40,000, which throws off my buys considerably because trying to buy $100 worth of Ethereum falls below the minimum that's required for buying. So some of your sandbox it will have problems. Litecoin is $1, which is cool if it was real. Not so cool if you're trying to figure out what your prices are going to be. But it's good enough to get you going. Does that answer your question, or were you looking for me to do a nice React front end with this kind of thing? You can definitely route those things through. With that, I just didn't go through the level for it, just because. No, I'm sure it'd be easy, actually. Just my own experience. Yes.
How do you handle schedule when you run it?
So perfect. So what we did with, I raced past my slides because I'm nervous. But so in the scheduling, we inside of AWS or inside of. So AWS is perfect for this because you can use CloudWatch events. So you can go set that up there. You don't have to have the only code that's really being executed is my one single buy command function or my deposit function. And actually, you set up a rule, a CloudWatch rule, and then tie that to the schedule. And then you can pass a cron signature for it. You can do the same thing with Node schedule without using the object. But like I said, it's pretty nice. I figured it'd be nice just to kind of leverage AWS where I don't have to write the code, just be up and running. And then if I wanted to add in other commands for it, like Binance and those kind of things, you can do the same thing and then have it running the same way without having too much overhead of your own code to maintain. Yes?
Do you have an easy way to stop a buy? Tron's coming up and a dumb headline that price way up.
Hold. Did I have to go back to the slide? Hold. Buy it at any price. We're not selling tomorrow. No, there's definitely logic that I was going to put in for looking at some of those things, but for where I'm at, I want to accrue a position, and over time I would control some of that by the percent below market. If I was that, I imagine I was pretty neurotic about following Bitcoin and crypto in general for the last 6 or 8 months to the point where other work wasn't getting done. So I felt like I'd have personal time to be able to go in. And the other thing with Node Lambda, what it does is it exposes this deploy env. So you'll see all my information again. But what you can do is all these environment variables get piped up to AWS for you. So they'll show up in the console. So if you want to go, you can easily just log on whatever your AWS tools and modify your thing there. And it's not fancy, but I think it's a nice way to kind of manage your stuff without having to have more code. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? Yes.
Yeah, somebody like you doesn't understand much of how the trading is. Okay, good idea to start learning about it through code, or do you think you first learn about what I'm doing and working with?
I think so. You will learn the rules, right? So everyone's going to tell you the same thing: to do your research, to kind of make sure you're comfortable buying, and then to not spend more than you can afford. So if you were going to do that, it's a fun way to do it if you're tech inclined and that's something you're passionate about and interested in. It's a fun, like the GX API is interesting just on its own. I think it's probably a good idea to get your feet wet a little bit. If you haven't been in crypto yet, the barrier to entry is extremely high. Like in terms of technical barriers, it is a reason it's not getting massive adoption right away. It's just not, we're not quite there. Some of the vocabulary, so wallet is just an address. So a lot of it's silly things, right? So people think they have their wallet and their coins are inside the wallet, and they are not on the wallet, they are on the chain, right? That's the whole point. But the same thing, right? So it's a hard idea. So there's all these different types of wallets. There's online wallets, there's cold storage wallets, there's paper wallets. So you can so it gets to be a lot fast. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a great opportunity to get in now. So if you can get past that and get through it and be comfortable chipping in, or like, you know, taking some stock buying advice now and applying that to crypto like you would. So if your dollar cost, so if you say you're putting $20 a weekend on all three, in a year, after all this crazy FUD's passed, if it pops back up to 20 grand or 15, you're in a pretty good spot and you haven't really wasted that much. And it's a nice opportunity to get your feet wet. And get comfortable with the technology that's there. Because the reason the research is, you can spend days and days and days, and the nice thing is that there's like some good YouTube channels, but what happens is they kind of become an echo chamber. So they start saying the same things, and you start to get kind of bad influence on your buys, right? Because you're going to try, what you end up doing is trying to chase. Because Bitcoin, when you buy an altcoin, something not Bitcoin, you're basically betting that altcoin is going to do better than Bitcoin at the time, which, for the most part of my time with it, which has been eight or 9 months, not much outperformed Bitcoin. It felt good at the time to watch the swings. Like some of them would have a 200% increase and you feel like a genius. But, so sometimes having stable stock knowledge and applying that there is enough. But I wouldn't be shy. I think it's a good time to get in. Yes. Sorry, Mr. Blue Jacket.
Do you have a Coinbase account? Do you also have that?
Yeah, so as soon as the first place, like, I started off not knowing anything about crypto. So the first place you generally go is Coinbase, just because it's easy. It's the friendly face of crypto. But by default, that Coinbase account automatically pipes over to GDAX. So you don't need other credentials. And I hope you're not trying to crack my Coinbase account by finding out, like, so yeah, but that's a nice part. So all your funds that go in through Coinbase and all that are automatically available. And any other trades you've done on Coinbase before are available on GDAX. They just pipe right over it.
How granular, like how often get price?
Oh, is it like a rate limiting for the API?
Yeah.
They have a WebSocket feed that they can do. So it's pretty nice. And that's what you'll find with most of the exchanges is their APIs are much more stable than the websites that are driving or that are putting in front of them. So the website might be down, but the APIs are still up, because that's how CoinMarketCap and some of the other market aggregating tools are actually gathering data. So there is a rate limit. It feels like we are in the .com bubble, but people are running these things out of their garage. Like when really bad news hits, you cannot log in to the exchanges, or a lot of them. So it feels like a scam, right? Because you can't get your money out if you try it. Because it's gonna be like, oh, we're busy, or it's under schedule. Like the joke for Coinbase and GDAX is it's scheduled maintenance or maintenance. And it's, I think the growth has been exponential, so it's hard, but it's not like Amazon's running the data center or hosting their exchange. Or it doesn't seem to, because it falls apart. I was banging on this pretty good while I was not working on, like not getting it to work, and I didn't have any rate limiting problem. They will throw 404. But the nice thing about the GDAX client that Node has for it is they have a retry built in for that error, for the HTTP response code. So it'll try, I think, 3 or 4 times to return it to you. So you can kind of leverage the async nature of it, and hopefully you just get a response back in the then block. You had a question?
Oh, I was just going to add to what you said as to why really, at the end of the day, that's one of the biggest things. Send the wrong address if you were trying to
that's another.
Bitcoin to another Bitcoin address, and you accidentally send it to a Bitcoin hash address, which have the same address structure, which means that it's that very easily that way.
And there's SegWit and all the differences.
You
Yeah.
know what you're doing. If you're moving anything on money, and in addition to that, if you do do hold any significant amount of money, you really want to do research on how to hold it properly. I would not advocate for any more amount of money on an exchange like Coinbase or that for a number of years.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen a lot of the headlines. There's been hack notices about most of the exchanges at this point to some level. And they haven't been necessarily as severe as you might. It wasn't all like Mt. Gox and all that, but even your hardware keys are at risk now because the way the architecture works, the one microcontroller doesn't know about the other, so you can fake it out. So it's a scary place, but it's exactly what it feels like to be in an open market that's free on the internet, right? It's beautiful and it's incredibly scary, right? So there's places. So all these crypto is perfect for a lot of emerging countries. What are emerging countries? They might have technology and they might have a whole lot of time to hack what you feel is a small bag of money, and for them to get it, right? So it's like it's global. Markets run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. So you can wake up. The other thing, I guess, going to that is some people do stop losses and things like that. Well, the swings are so big that you can very easily sell out your cash and while it's in a bad position, because in like traditional stocks, right, you put a stop loss, like I don't want to hold this if it's going to drop below this price. Well, by the time you go to sleep and wake up, it could be right back to where it was or higher. So it's going to that. One of my friends had Tron. He bought Tron on the FOMO, and then he cried, and I told him so, and then I cried when one of mine did the same. So let me get to the slides. I skipped some. I won't drag you through them, even though they have very cool graphics. Come on, that's cool. There's my going serverless one where I talked over. And there's where I answered your question in a slide without having to have you ask it. And there's Bob Ross, Peyton, the ramp up. So there's the KIP code to Bob Ross is awesome. I'm glad you guys laughed. My niece is college age and she doesn't know who Bob Ross is. And then I cried a little bit too. So that's the code. I think it's pretty decent for my first cut. It's a decent JavaScript project. There's my blog, mostly testing and automation, and LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm on there too. So yes.
Have you found that you pick prices or if you look back over the months, good bot?
I think it's a good bot. I am terrified to be buying right now. So I've got weak hands. So I at the end of the year, I thought we were going to go to 25K in the first quarter. And it was, I think a lot of people probably here, it was in a race to get into anything. There weren't a lot of bargains on the ground, and a lot of things you just had to be in. One of the other nice things, and I didn't have a slide for this, is there's a statistic for stock trading where if you're not in the market on certain days in the entire history of the stock market, the returns aren't positive for you. So everybody believes if you're by investing like your 401k and all this other stuff, that just being in the stock market is the value, and it's not. It's having money in all the time, so you can get those rises out. Because if you're not in, you're going to miss. Same as with this. So that's why I went to dollar cost averaging, because I figure if I set a price where I don't really care if it fills or if it's an amount of money that I would waste anyways, then I can feel better and not feel like I'm taking money out of my kid's pocket for tracing a dream of cryptocurrencies. And it was all actually inspired. It's kind of funny. One of our coworkers actually retired off of I believe it was Litecoin, but he left so fast that we didn't get to ask questions. So. But yeah, you can fork it. There's actually probably better bots. There's if you're interested in not dollar cost averaging, there is a trading bot package that has some of those other strategies in, and you can then extend it for GDAX or other ones. Yes. That I haven't measured. Let's look at the timestamps here. Now this is 3 buys for this, so it looks. I didn't benchmark it because for some of this, with the way I think of the strategy, it looks like 3 seconds. So it could be faster if you really needed to, if you were breaking it down. But I think I tried to get out of worrying about. I used to do that too. I'd sit there and I'd watch the chart. I'd put the candles to like 5 minutes or less, and I'd be like, okay, I think it's going to go here. And I missed out in the earlier part of last year. I missed out on a lot because I was trying to apply that logic of setting a price that I was comfortable with when I just needed to buy. And now it's the opposite. I was like, oh, I'll just keep buying because it's going to rebound and it's nothing but tank. But to anybody that hasn't got a bot, it's probably a good time, right? I mean, we're back down to 6K, so it's a lot better than 20K. I thought that too, and then it keeps falling. It's been, but see, it was up to like 10 like a couple weeks ago too. So I mean, these are the swings we're talking. So it's incredibly exciting. It's fun water cooler talk. The technology is great. Even if these other coins aren't going to do anything, they do some interesting stuff. We're also, there's some kind of common misconceptions. So a lot of people go to altcoins because I think the returns aren't there in Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. Well, if you look at some of the changes they've had, there has been returns in both of those. So the big market players do still have power. And there's a good chance also on the flip side, though, that the actual winners of all this, like the Googles, the Amazons, and that kind of stuff, haven't been found yet. So Bitcoin is holding its own because of brand recognition. And generally people make equivalents there. Bitcoin is crypto and crypto is Bitcoin. And it's not, but that's keeping it pretty safe for us now because it's by far probably not the best currency that we have available. But until everything else, the other thing is I didn't get into that. Most exchanges don't have, you can't take cash and buy any coin that you want directly. I guess most people probably know that, but so you end up trading in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, getting a taxable event just to actually buy the crypto that you wanted. So it's an interesting space. I hope I didn't bore you, especially Mr. Brave. I feel like I've been, got me on tilt just to start. That's pretty cool. The Brave's doing some good stuff, or not, Bat is doing some good stuff with Brave, so. You got the shirt. That's enough, right? So, thank you guys. If there's any questions, happy to answer them. I hope I wasn't too bad. So, thanks. Code's better than I speak.
All right. It takes work and preparation and a lot of guts to get up here and give a presentation in front of folks. So let's show our appreciation to Brendan with another big round of applause.
If you guys are really thankful, I can give you my Litecoin address and you can.
Don't applaud, just send money. Which brings me to the great segue. If you would like to stand up here where Brendan stood and talk to us about JavaScript, we are wide open after May. So please get in touch with us and let us know your topic, who you are, when you want to speak, and we'll make it happen. Beyond that, I don't have anything else for you. So have a great night, and we will see you next month at Invoca, where Evan is going to dazzle us with his JavaScript talk. Thanks, guys, and good night.